Connaught Place, New Delhi.
How can we animate this map like Netflix? We start our work by creating a composition in After Effects software. We set the width to 1920, the height to 1080, the duration to 10 seconds, and click OK. In the first step, we import our photo into the After Effects software. I'll increase its size, and there are a few effects that I need to apply to this layer, which I will apply one by one. I'll go to the Effects panel and apply the Tint effect first. Once I apply the Tint effect, I have a series of codes for my reference, and I will enter those color codes here. I'll move on to the next effect, which is the Curves effect. We'll apply the Curves effect to give it a more vintage look. We'll set this command to this state. Moving on to the next effect, it's the Gaussian blur effect, and we'll set its value to 2. The next effect is the noise effect. We'll set its value to 5. I have it, and I'm unchecking the Use Color Noise box. Now, if you want it to be a bit darker, we'll lower the tint. The next layer is its texture layer, which I'll set to this layer, and I'll change its blending mode to soft light. We can also reduce its opacity a bit. I'll make a copy of this same layer and bring it to the top. Here, we need to change the colors. I'll go ahead and enter the color codes I have again. It turns out like this. Okay, so moving right along, the next step is that we need to go ahead and create our map layer, which will serve as the foundation for our work. First, I'm going to create a new composition, and I'll name it Map Layer to keep things organized. Once that's done, I'll click OK to confirm, and now we can really get started with the work we need to do here. Next, I'll select the Shape tool to draw a circle right in the center like this, and then I'll go into the Properties to set its fill color to a solid deep black, making sure it is completely filled in. Its anchor point is in the center and the background composition. I'll also make the position completely white. Now we need to apply a few effects to this layer here. The first effect we apply is the Turbulent Displace effect. You can change its value depending on your project. There is no exact number, just set it to whatever you find interesting. The next effect we are going to use is the Roughen Edges effect. I will go ahead and apply it directly to this layer. And just like I mentioned, you should really take the time to adjust these settings based on the specific requirements of whatever project you're working on. Now what we need to do is press S on the keyboard. I'll come here and set a keyframe, then go back and set its value to 0. I'll select these two keyframes and apply Easy Ease. Then I'll head over to the Graph Editor section and set the left influence value to I'll set the value on the right to 75. I'll play it once. Like this. Now, I'm going to increase its overall size just a little bit. This adjustment completely depends on this specific part right here, which I am going to carefully place into position now. This one on the top layer. Well, I want this to happen exactly in this city center area. Look, it doesn't start from here. I'll come here again inside this layer and move it up a bit. Now I'll take a look and see it's roughly in the middle and it's okay. Well, now what we need to do is make a few copies of this layer, move forward a few frames and shift it. For example, I'll place this one here. Now I'm going to take these keyframes and bring them over to this side so that it starts exactly like this. However, as you can see, this transition feels a bit too sudden and abrupt. And the value of these should also be a bit lower. Now I'll make several copies of this layer one after another and arrange them in a stepped pattern like this. I'll come to the end and now place one here in such a way that a circle is completely filled for us. Like this. Let's play it once. So I'll play it here once. Nice. Then I'll move these a bit closer and apply the Fastbox Blur effect to them. I'll apply the Fastbox Blur to one of these layers. I'll set its mode to horizontal first, increase it, no, let it be on vertical, and I'll set its value to 5. Now I'll copy this and apply it to all these layers. Now go back to the main comp and play it once. Now the work To create this layer, we track mat it to this layer, and we can change its position slightly. I'll play it one more time. Like this. Now first we create a null object. I select all these layers and parent them to this layer. Now I come here. Well, let's revert the null object that I parented to its previous state and place the null object exactly in the center. Now we go back here, select all of these and parent them. I'll set a scale keyframe and come to about the 10th second and enlarge it. I'll play it once. I'll bring this item a bit further over here, and then I'll come over to join you right here. Well, this is too big. It shouldn't be this big, this large. I'll resize this right here and place it here. I'll play it once. We can increase the spacing between these and bring this forward too, because it's not supposed to happen from the beginning. Well, excellent. Okay, now we want to create the cloud. I'll grab a rectangle. I'll draw a large rectangle like this. I'll change its color to white. I'll select it again, set it to mask mode, and draw it like this once. I'll press F on the keyboard and increase its feather. I'll bring it down. I want to see the edges of the work. The edges of the work are great. The jumpy mode has a value. Well, just a little bit, I suppose. It is really only a small amount if you think about it. Just a little bit. Now, to make that cloud effect better, I'll apply the fractal noise effect to this layer. I'll set the value of the effect I applied to 14. I'll also lower its opacity to about 70. I'll also reduce the opacity of the layer itself a bit. "90 is selected, 95 is a good choice. Okay, so first I'm going to press the P key on my keyboard to set a keyframe. Then I'll move the playhead to about the 4th second, and finally I'll bring the value down completely. I'll go back and play it once. Okay, so for the next step, I'm going to go ahead and apply easy ease to these keyframes to smooth out the motion. This graph, go to 25, 75. I'll also move it out a bit and play it. And I want this downtown part to be more to the right, further out. I'm going to come in here and adjust its position just a little bit, and then I'll also make it significantly bigger, just like this, so it stands out more clearly. Now it's the part where we need to write our texts. I'll copy my text. I didn't explain this part because it really doesn't have anything special. Now what we're going to do is animate these as well. I open Animate, click Opacity, open Parabolic here, and add a blur to it. I'll set its blur to the end. I'll set the opacity to 0 at about 5. I'll open the range selector, start. Like this, exactly. Let's go ahead and play it through just one time to see how it sounds. If the speed was too fast or too slow, I'll bring these intervals closer together. Like this. Now I'll copy the animation and I'll paste them onto these layers as well. I'll press U and arrange them one by one, bringing the placement forward. I'll bring this one forward too. I'll play it once. I have noticed a certain look here as well, and honestly, it is something that I really want to take the time to fix properly. It just needs a little bit of extra attention. I mean, that eyebrow part. Mask. The problem is solved. Now we just need to adjust the timing here. The rest of the items are almost complete. So I'll just I'll add a camera and then add a null object for it. I'll make all the layers 3D and parent the camera to the null object. I'll go back, press P on the keyboard, come to about the 4-second mark and perform a zoom. I'll create another null object, parent this null object to it and make it 3D. First, I'm going to set an initial keyframe for the position property right here. Then I'll move the playhead forward, and by the 10-second mark, I'll adjust the scale to zoom in just a little bit. Now I'll scrub back to an earlier point in the timeline, zoom out slightly to reframe the shot. And finally, I'll shift the entire composition over to this side of the screen to complete the movement. Well, this part of the edges of my work is outside. I can solve the problem with an interesting effect called CC repeat tile. I'll come here now what? I'll set it to unfold, and I increase the left value. I paste this for these layers as well. The problem is solved. I select this layer, our keyframe. I apply Easy Ease and set its value to 2575. Let's play it once. Well, this starts a bit too early. I'll move it forward. I'll move this one further out so it starts faster. I really want this specific clip to start right after the previous one finishes, and I definitely don't want any of them to overlap or start before the other ends. Let me go ahead and play it back just once to check. I feel like it's too fast. I'll move it a bit further out and drag it to this side. No, that didn't turn out very interesting. I'll reduce its value. Now it's time to perform the miracle. We'll create a few adjustment layers and do the necessary tasks one by one. In the first step, we apply the Fastbox blur effect, set its value to 5, select the ellipse tool and double click. It becomes something like this. I invert the mask and increase its feather. Next, I will create another adjustment layer to work on. Then I apply the CC vignette effect directly to this new layer, and finally I increase its value to achieve the desired darkening effect around the edges. Next, I am going to create yet another adjustment layer to work with. Once that is set up, I will go ahead and apply the add grain effect to it. After that, I need to make sure to set the effects mode specifically to final output, and finally I will go in and cut the intensity value of that grain effect right in half to get the look I want. I'll check the box for the color part of the noise. I'll also reduce the speed for the animation part. Finally, I'll make a copy of this texture layer and bring it to the top, placing it over all the layers. I'll reduce its opacity a bit. 50 could be a good number. If you want, you can make these 3D as well, but I don't recommend making them 3D. You only make the add grain layer 3D. I'll play it once and the work is done. Thank you very much for staying with me until the end of this tutorial. Absolutely make sure to send it to your friends. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, you can download the file from my Discord channel. You guys are the best.